9 years of age and she wants to go to run 100 meters. And I work with her for a few weeks. She goes to her first race. She lines up with another 7 kids. On your march, set, bang, runs down the track, hurls herself at the line. 8th out of 8 in 18 seconds. Comes back, oh, Mr. Dick, I was last. No, you weren't last. Yes, I was. No, you were 18 seconds. What do you mean? Well, you've smashed the 20-second barrier, and I had you down for 19 seconds. You're a whole second faster than that. Do you know what this means? No, this means it's your lifetime best performance. Your own personal world record. Really? Yes. In some ways, you're a first. What do you mean? You're the first athlete I've ever coached who's run 18 seconds for the 100 meters. Now listen, in a few weeks' time, she's got another race. What does she think winning is now? If she does 17.9, she'll grab a flag and she'll run around the track. Because that's what winning is. Winning is being better today than you were yesterday. Every day.
All right. Welcome back. Season 2, episode 1 of Jog Your Mind. I'm Coach Andrew Simmons, and I hope you guys enjoyed that clip because it gives context to what we're going to talk about today. When we think about constant improvement, we think about getting better every single day. And that's a really great story because it's about such a personal thing, right? Going from 18 seconds in the 100 meters to 17.9 and being able to celebrate it, being excited for yourself. It's the number one thing that I see holding athletes back is that they become focused on a point in time, who they were, and not who they are right now. I'm not the first person to sit in front of you guys and tell you that the arc of being a high school athlete isn't linear and that progress doesn't just happen because you work harder. The reality is that when you're focused on trying to improve, sometimes you get so focused on wanting to get better that you forget to enjoy the process and have perspective and joy in it. And so we're going to talk all about that sticking point, about looking backwards, right? You ran a great time last year. And so what do? You show up every single race this year trying to get back there. But you're not the same athlete that you were back there. You're not the same person. You're not built the same. You don't think the same way. You're just not that person. So why are you trying to be that person? Because you're looking at your time as the only valuable part of your training, not the memories that you're making with people, not your physical health, but time. If you improve your time, that means that more schools will like you, that you're going to be able to get a scholarship for college, and that once you get there, it's going to get easier and it's going to get better because there's the thing. You're going to get better, you're going to improve, you're going to do this and it's higher and higher and higher. So when you stack all of these things that if you improve, you get, what happens when you don't? This becomes pressure. That when you go out for that race and you say, okay, I'm going to break the 6-minute barrier. It's going to be great. First opening race of the season. And you run 6:05. The pressure and expectation that you put on yourself now pushes down on you. So when you have to go out and do that next race, you say, okay, last was a bad one, but hey, you know what, boys, we're going to get out there. We're going to get after it. We're going to crush it. Ah, man, 6:03. We got closer. We got better, but now I still have this pressure because now I've used 2 races of all my possible options. And the further we get into the season, the more we succumb to this pressure. And we watch people crack. We watch people break, even though they're working harder and harder and harder because they're continuing to stack expectations. And these are personal expectations. What about coaches and teammates and parents and all of these other things that come into life? I hope your significant other isn't watching from the stands, hoping that you do well, and you don't want to look bad in front of them. Pressure, pressure, pressure. No wonder people crack and explode, walk away from the sport, and they hate it because they haven't been able to take an iterative process when it comes to looking at this. Is that if you start the race in the season at 6:03, where do we go from here? What is our approach? What is our purpose? So let's take a quick step back because I want to use something here. This is an actual athlete's progression from 2022 to 2023. And some of you guys will do some quick looking around here and realize that there isn't much progression from 2022 to 2023. at least when you look at it up front. They opened in 542, 538, 546, 545, 536, 540, 543. Now, realistically, that's a pretty darn good time for a freshman. And when they ran this first race here and then they ran their second race, they're like, sick. I'm just going to unload on this season. It's going to be great. Dropped 4 seconds. And then when they got here and they went 8 seconds slower, they went from thinking, I'm going to rock this season to I'm getting absolutely crushed out here. I'm terrible. I'm no good at this. And so then the next race, when they drop 1 second, they're not yoked on it at all. They feel just miserable because it's still not a 542. But look here, I showed up, pushed myself super hard. Great race of people to train with and race with. 536. Great. I got a PR. Finally, things are going back the way I want it to. 540. Oh, I slipped a little bit. That's all right. We'll get them here. 543. That's my last race of the season. These two got a little bit slower. Pressure, pressure, pressure when I think about this athlete. So 2023, guess what the thought is? Guess what the focus is that first race? I got to go out and run this 536. So guess what? They opened in about 530 pace. They weren't in shape for 530 pace. So a good reminder as we're talking through this, if you're opening your season and you haven't had good signs and good signals that last year's PR pace is something that you can go after in your first race, maybe don't start there. That might not go well. 603, drop down to 559. Super disappointed with both these races, even though there's 4 seconds of improvement there. And as we go down this list, 606, the slowest race that they'd run. Darkest place this person had been in a while. They were just frustrated with the sport, frustrated with all things going on in life. Guess what they were doing? They were growing. This person and this person, 5 inches different. Guess what? The body's not going to be performing at the same level from this year to this year with 5 inches of growth. It's still figuring out how to move and how to move well. This athlete had a lot of pain and a lot of discomfort just from growing. So as we look at the rest of the season, they got back down to 550. That last race got a little upside down on, but they went from 603 to 550. That's a 13-second jump. This season, they took a whopping 6 seconds jump. This is a bigger jump here. There's progress here. But this athlete could not see progress inside this racing season at all. It was just frustration, frustration, frustration. And so when I say season's best mindset, I think back to that video I started things off with and that little girl. She's so excited about moving from 18 seconds to 17.9 in the 100. So when you start your season off, that is your starting point for the season. Last year's performances live in last year. They deserve to live in about size 10 font in the upper corner of this board. If you want to look at it, 536 can live right up here. But where you start on the season and then where you go to next is what deserves your attention and focus, because you did something there that got you that improvement, that helped move you forward. That's what deserves your focus. If you slip and fall back, you have to be able to assess why. Why did you slip? Were the conditions just awful? Was it 30 degrees, blowing 30 miles an hour the whole race and just absolutely miserable? And you had no one to pace with and no one to work with? As much as we'd all like to think we're David Goggins and we just, who's going to carry the boats? I don't even know. Not me. The reality is that you can't just go out and expect that you're going to have a great race because you want it. You have to go in with a purpose and a direction and an understanding of what's realistic on that day. Having a great field of athletes to push you and to get in with, yeah, that's probably a great opportunity for a race. 30 miles at 30 degrees blowing sideways, not a great opportunity, but there's still something you can do there. You can try and run that last lap a little bit faster. You can try and push different parts of the race. You can try and make that third lap maybe the strongest of the race and practice your race model instead of just looking at it as a throwaway race, where you can go out there and try to hit a specific time and use it as a workout. There are opportunities to use races, even if they are not perfect conditions with perfect athletes. We get stuck that we're only going to run well if we're in these perfect races with people. Your best races may come when there's no one else around. Your best races might come at the middle of the season versus the end of the season, but they all have something that you can pull from it and learn from it and take to your next race to improve with, right? It's the little things, but you have to be willing to assess. Feel free to go back into season 1. I have a ton of post-race things that you can go through that are going to help you look at where did you improve, where do you need to improve for this next race. It helps you break down and analyze those races. I'll link those in this podcast description. So if you're looking for that, you'll find that. The last thing I want to talk through today as we get close to time, trying to keep these short for you guys, is today's download. It is a SWOT analysis, and not SWOT like breaking down your door. SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. When I think strengths, the number one thing I think is, what are you good at? And most of you guys are going to say, well, running. Well, yeah, you're good at running. If you're listening to this, you like running, and you're probably really interested about how to get better. But your strength isn't that you run. Your strength is that you might have a great kick. You're consistent. You show up and you work hard every day. A strength may be knowing that if someone ties up with you in the last 100 meters of a race, you're willing to dig deeper than most other people. What about you is going to separate you from your competitors? What are your strengths? What are the things that help you be great? Not great compared to everybody else, but great compared to you. My strengths are, right? As an athlete, I'm a distance guy. I love to run a long way, right? I know that one of my strengths is that I can just be super consistent with my splits. That if I said, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to run, 6-minute miles, for 10 miles, I'm going to come in at like 60 minutes or 59:50, 60:10, somewhere in there. I can just click them off. I've learned how to pace really well. One of my personal strengths, right? That's awesome. But there's also the other side of this, of weaknesses. What are the areas that you could maybe use some work on? Do you hate hills? Do you hate doing the extra work, the strength, the mobility, all of that stuff at the end of your workouts? Is that something that you leave behind? Do you not like the weight room, even though it's going to make you better? Those are some of your weaknesses. Those are things that if you don't give them some attention sometimes, they can take down your whole season. So now we move into opportunities. What are those? Opportunities are often your weaknesses and your abilities to be able to improve them. But opportunities could also look like adding in things like working on your form, working on your mental game, asking some bigger questions and analyzing more. Those are opportunities for your own personal growth. The last piece here in threats, those are the things that can completely derail your season, right? And they're related again to weaknesses, that if you aren't in the weight room and you aren't going, then that IT band syndrome that you might have had as an 8th grader or a freshman, that may show back up. IT band syndrome could take you out for 2 to 3 weeks. So as you sit down, I want you guys to actually think not just, here's what I'm good at, here's what I'm bad at, I can improve these things and just draw some really clear lines. I want you to sit down and think a little bit deeper, because a SWOT analysis demands action. I'm going to look at this, I'm going to define it, and then you need to take it to a coach and say, hey, I want to work on these things. These are my areas of weakness. If you don't know somebody that's good at helping you with mental tools or things like that, you need to go find a resource. There's a ton of them. Feel free to reach out to me if you're struggling to find some great resources on, strength training or mental tools or anything like that. I've got some amazing resources that I can send to you guys. But with that said, we are at time today. I really want to keep these inside of 15 minutes for you guys. I'm really looking forward to episode 2 here. We are going to keep things rolling. I look forward to seeing you guys back for number 2. For now, that's it. Episode 1, Jog Your Mind. See ya.